Welcome to task 2. I thought it'd be useful to start with the reasons to make a vision board. So this activity builds on task 1 in a more visual way. I'm not a particularly natural drawer, so I do love using collage as a way to express ideas. First of all, it's a good start to reflect on what you've achieved, what you enjoy, and think about what you want to change. This can all go into the vision board. The vision board makes us sit and really think about what we want from life. It can bring about some focus on your goals. You can focus on your dreams. It's important to think about your dreams, not those of other people, by comparing. The vision board can provide a daily reminder of our goals. Using visualisation techniques can help us motivate towards our goals. The creative process of making a vision board is fun and you can dream really big. Don't hold back. If you want the dream car or the dream holiday, put the images down. But please be careful that you don't feel overwhelmed by unrealistic goals. At this time, you may simply have goals to visualise meeting with a friend that you haven't seen for a while, or a hug from a loved one. So let's get started. First thing you're going to need is a pile of old magazines that you can cut up. So if you've got magazines of your own interest, then that is perfect. Leaflets that come through the door, freebies from the supermarket, start collecting them. You'll need some cardboard or a sturdy base. I suggest using an old cereal packet if you haven't got any cardboard at home. And then glitter is optional. Well, you will want some scissors, and you'll want some old paintbrushes that you can use with PVA glue. So I do suggest using the PVA glue, which is the gloopy white glue. If you don't have this, then you can use Pritt Stick. Okay, let's get started. The first thing I'm going to do to start my vision board is decide what size I want it to be. So I've got a large cereal box here. I'm going to cut up, so I flattened it down. I'm going to cut off the tops and the bottom. And it's up to you how big you want your vision board to be. It's whether you want to dream really big or whether you want to start off with a smaller board which maybe has more targeted goals and keep it smaller. So when you open it out, you could work with the whole sheet, which would be about A3 size. But if you wanted to cut one of the panels off, then your board would be around A4 size. So I've got this piece here, and I can use that landscape or portrait. And don't worry about any creases in it, because as we paste on all the images, they will flatten out. So I've got my background set up, so that's my canvas. And then next is to go through the magazines and think about the background first of all. So we're going to lay down a background of colour. Doesn't need to be any particular detail on the background. You're just going to be setting the scene, as it were, as if it were a painting. But as you're going through the magazines and looking for colour, you may see things that jump out at you that are relevant to your goals, your dreams, what you want to bring into this year. So you may want to cut them out as you go. I've spent some time looking through the magazines and found a few general images that would be good for backgrounds. Not too much detail on them, but they mean something to me because they're about outdoor spaces, about green, nice homely image here, and a lake. So these are images that just appeal to me, so I'm going to cut these out for my background. So I've got my background images, and I quickly realised that actually I wanted to work bigger than my original cardboard allowed. So I've cut myself a new piece of board. I guess the tip here is to maybe start working big, and if you want to make it smaller afterwards, then you can do that. So I'm going to place these on my background, think about how I want them to look, and then I'm going to stick them down. So I've decided which is the underneath image, the very background image, and then I'm just going to work my way up in layers. It doesn't matter at this stage if there's a bit of writing on some of the images that you don't want in your final vision board, because we're going to cover it all over anyway. But it is really good with the background, I think, to cover every inch of the canvas. When you've got your background all stuck down, it's time to thinking about the details for your vision board. This is where you're really going to start channeling in what you hope to bring into your life this year. So I've selected some images and some words that I think just really appealed to me. So I've got a quote about summer, and I've got a butterfly, which to me represents the idea of freedom, maybe coming out of lockdown at some point. And I've got an image here about the seaside, maybe going on a holiday this year, which would be lovely. And I've got a catalogue. So when we're using an old catalogue, we're not creating a shopping list. So it's not about creating a shopping list. It's more about choosing images that may represent what it is that you want to bring into your life. So the one I've got here is bikes, and I don't need a new bike, but I do need to get my bike out a bit more and maybe go cycling this year. So that's definitely going to be in my vision board. You may want to use an image that represents spending more time with children, getting outside, getting fit, and there's a lovely word goal here that I'm going to use. There's a Fitbit here, so this is keeping in line with my keeping active goals. I don't need a Fitbit, but I do need to continue to carry on counting my steps, which is something that I've started doing as a personal goal to keep active. And then so I've got an image of a watch here. I don't need a new watch, but I do need to continue to get better at my personal timekeeping. And this also could represent creating time, making time for certain things that you want in your life, making time for yourself perhaps. And then the last one I got from here is a home baking page. Perhaps you want to spend more time baking. This could be part of learning, learning a new skill. So I just want you to see these sort of catalogues, this is an old Christmas catalogue, as a way to bring some visualisation into your board, and using the pictures to represent things. So I roughly ripped out the images that I liked, and then now I'm going in with the detail, so I'm going to use the scissors to get the detail on there. You can really spend your time over this, and I do recommend, if at all possible, finding yourself a quiet moment for this part. I think the collage bit is probably something that if you've got children around, you could do with the children. Maybe they could get involved. But then I think when you get into the detail, when you're thinking about your goals and what you want to bring into your life, it's really nice for you to find a bit of quiet time just to sit, and then as you're cutting out each of the images, you can really start to think about what that means to you, how you can bring about that goal into your life, what you may need to do in order for that to happen, and just really start that process of believing that these things can come about. As I'm going through the magazines, I'm finding some images that I think might be nice for the borders. So I've got a magazine here which has got some repetitive patterns in their borders that they've already used. So I'm going to cut out a few of these and they can be dotted around the top for detail. I've got all my images cut out and ready to stick on now. So I've laid them out roughly where they're going to go. It's a really good idea to do this before you start sticking, because then you can make sure that you've got the images you want in the background and you don't have to end up peeling things off afterwards. So just lay things out where you want them to be. Collage is fabulous just for overlapping things, and you may want to group things into themes in your collage. So the little one I'm sticking now, I've got a butterfly and I've got the bee and the flower. So as I said earlier, that's a little bit about the idea of freedom. I've got the sea here, and the connection I make with that image is this word, relax. So I'm going to pop that onto there. I didn't quite have as many magazines as I would have liked, and I was hoping to print off some of the printables that I've got on the PDF on the Moodle site, but I'm having trouble with my printer. So I've had to find some words just from the magazine, so I'm just being a bit more creative. Of course you can be even more creative than this if you've got the time. You can draw out words and letters that you want to use onto a separate sheet, colour them in, paint them in, cut them out to stick them in your collage. And I also found the words I am, which is that positive statement that we're going to be looking at in the next task. So we're bringing about affirmations in this task as well. Thinking I am, so that's thinking I am all of these things that I'm putting down. I am relaxed, I am fit, I am free. You can start thinking about those now. When you're gluing down your vision board, it's really good to get lots of the gloopy glue and really paste it all over the top. This really smooths it out, and you'll end up with a lovely shiny finish over the top. The first stage of my vision board is finished. I probably will continue adding to this. I'm just adding a bit of glitter on it now because I just feel like I need to bring a bit of sparkle into 2021. You can never have enough glitter. You could also add some tissue paper over the top of this just to give it that final layer, and then another layer of glue. There are some things that I would have wanted to add to my board, but I haven't been able to find the images. So I'm going to keep an eye out for these over the next few weeks and see if I can find the pictures and add them to it. A couple of days later and I've finished my vision board. After the initial session on it, I put it aside for a day or two and then came back to it. I found this quite helpful because I looked at the magazines and looked at them again with fresh eyes. I focused on words in this board. I really enjoyed playing with words and seeing which words jumped out at me. Quite enjoyed putting them together and seeing how they can represent my year ahead. I really hope you enjoy this task, and please upload your pictures in the journal and send me your reflections. I really look forward to hearing how you get on.